Apple juice for two. Apple juice for two. Apple juice for two.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Apple Juice for Two exclusive interview. Today we're thrilled and honored and excited to be joined by Laura Dixon, a local comedian. Laura, thanks so much for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Gassing me up, man.
Yeah. I mean, have you been around Charleston your whole life, or?
Most of my life. I am from Somerville. So I guess if you're
nice.
not from Charleston, I'm from Charleston. If you are from Charleston, I'm from Somerville.
That's so true, yeah.
Yeah. And I went to school in Columbia, and then I lived in Greenville for like a random year.
Okay.
And then came back here in 2017.
Nice.
Yeah, 2016 or 2017. I don't remember.
So you've been all around the state.
Yeah, all around the state.
You got the full picture of the whole thing.
I've been to all the major cities in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like, what's your favorite? Like Charleston still, or like?
I like them for different reasons. Greenville's fun for like the outdoorsy scene. Like it's very easy to get to the mountains and go hiking up there. Columbia, I know everybody like, stomps on Columbia, but at the same time, I'm like, I went to college there. I have a lot of good memories there, a lot of friends there, a lot of sorority sisters. So I love Columbia. I just did a show there on Wednesday and had a blast.
Nice.
But then obviously Charleston's like easy to get to the beach, and I grew up here. My mom's here.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, it's so nice in Charleston having like city and the beach, you know what I mean? But Columbia does have its charms.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's
and
nice.
There's a cool art scene in Columbia that I think people don't really like give them enough credit for.
Really?
Yeah. Good film scene too.
Oh, that makes sense because of like the school, I guess, and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
What did you study when you were there?
Fashion merchandising.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I majored in fashion merchandising and I minored in film and media studies.
Nice.
Yeah. And I wanted to get 2 degrees, but I was already doing a victory lap.
Yeah. Nice, yeah.
And I was like, do I really care that much about the actual film degree, or are we good?
Right. Yeah. You don't want to stretch it too far.
Yeah. I was like, man, we've been hanging out here for a while.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. No, I feel that.
Yeah.
Were you doing comedy during that time, or like when did you start doing stand-up and stuff?
I started doing stand-up in June of 2019.
Okay.
I didn't really have much interest in comedy when I was in school. I was really busy with like my regular academics, studying fashion, and my sorority. And I was really interested in film. And I actually didn't have a lot of, this sounds crazy, but like I didn't have a lot of interest in like comedic film, or I liked like National Lampoon and stuff, like a lot of the classic stuff. But my focus was heavily in horror.
Okay, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I really liked horror, and I really liked kind of like the French New Wave stuff.
Okay.
Kind of heavier topics.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Not just like your normal Marvel movies thing or whatever.
No, definitely. I was not a Marvel girl.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Well, so when did comedy come into your life? Like, how did that?
So the thing was, I grew up with Saturday Night Live and stuff. The first time stand-up really hit my radar was high school.
Okay.
With Mitch Hedberg.
Okay.
And I loved Mitch Hedberg. But again, still like a horror girl, right?
Really, yeah.
But I did love Saturday Night Live. I've been a devotee since probably, I think it was like 14.
Really?
When I first started watching it, my mom loved Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi. We had all of the old like best of Saturday Night Live DVDs.
Nice.
And they were like on heavy rotation in our house. So
I love those covers of them, you know what I mean?
Yeah. They're all like making the faces. Yeah.
Those are great.
Yeah. So, I would watch a lot of those. And it wasn't until after college that like, I really thought like, oh, I might like to try this. I saw a stand-up special with Jen Kirkman.
Okay.
It's called I'm Gonna Die Alone and I Feel Fine.
Okay.
And that was the first time I really thought like, oh, maybe I would try this at some point.
Yeah. I haven't heard of her before. Does she have like a special out?
I'm Gonna Die Alone and I Feel Fine. She hasn't, and that was like 2014 or 2015 that came out. She hasn't done a ton since then.
Okay.
She still tours around and stuff, but I think she's heavily involved in activism now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So she's a really cool, interesting person.
The comedy to activism pipeline is real.
It is real. It's very real. Yeah.
Well, what about like her stand-up, or like what kind of struck you that made you think like, oh, might be for me?
That was the first time I had seen a girl on stage kind of talking about the same, and I say girl, she's a woman. Yeah, I think
Right.
she was like in her like mid to late 30s when she did that special.
Okay.
But that was the first time I saw somebody on stage putting the anxieties I had about my own life into a way that was funny.
Yeah.
About the idea of like, oh, I'm going to die alone in my kitchen, like with my
Right.
cat.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
and, you know, my cat's going to eat my face. Like that. I was like, oh, wait, I can laugh about these
Yeah.
anxieties that I'm having, like my
Huh.
own little quarter life crisis.
Right.
And that was the first time I had seen that on stage. And that, I think that's what really resonated with me.
Yeah. Interesting. It's like being a horror fan and like just like curious with that morbidity and stuff. Like, I guess that's what it is. Like being a horror fan, you're kind of, it's like scratches that morbid itch. You know what I mean?
Yes. And it's two sides of the same coin.
It really is. Yeah. Because
yeah.
like, you have that on one side but you can laugh at it and as a way to deal with it.
There's
or
humor
something,
and horror in almost everything that we experience in our everyday life. Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even think about like, say you lose your friend at a bar, right? We've all lost our friend at a bar, right? I'm
Right.
sure you have. If you, yeah.
If you're around here.
If
yeah,
you
for
live in
sure.
Charleston, you've lost your friend at a bar.
Definitely.
I mean, think about it from a stand-up perspective. We can laugh at like the hysteria of like, oh my God, I've lost my friend. Where are they? And movies like The Hangover, right?
Right.
You know, what is
Right.
the epic journey that's led to us losing our friend?
Mhm.
And then you've got the horror side of things,
Yeah.
you know, delve into like the true crime side of like what's happened to my friend.
That's
and,
true. Yeah.
And that's a very common experience. It's just an illustrative example, but truly
Yeah.
two sides of the same coin.
No, definitely. Yeah. I feel like just with like the whole world of, because I feel like a lot of horror stuff is just goofy in a certain sense. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Like Poltergeist, like what
You
or
changed the
just-
music on Poltergeist. I'm sorry. You
Yeah,
have,
that's true.
You've got a camp film in front of you.
Right.
Right.
That's true. That's wild for some reason. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, was like seeing her, was that kind of like the first time you saw like a woman on stage, like doing stand up in that way, that like kind of, because in stand up, like there's a lot of like guys. doing
It's
it,
a
you know what
very
I mean?
male dominated
Yeah.
industry. The first woman I saw on stage performing that was seared into me was Wanda Sykes, actually.
Nice.
Yeah. And I love her. I was in my dorm freshman year of college and I was stoned out of my mind.
Mhm.
And as we were freshman year of college,
As you are. Yeah.
As you
exactly,
are.
As it goes.
And I'd fallen asleep and I left the TV on and I woke up laughing in my sleep. And I woke up and I sat up and Wanda Sykes was on TV.
Nice.
And that was the first time I really saw a woman doing stand up. And she was so
Huh.
funny that I got woken up out of my stoned sleep.
Yeah. She worked her way into your dreams and rewired your brain
Sh-
to like comedy.
Yeah, straight up into my subconscious. She was like, you're way too into this horror in the new wave. She's like, maybe you should laugh a little. Yeah.
I'm not going to try to do an impression of her, but I could hear her saying that in my mind right now.
I know, yeah.
That's interesting. So like that was kind of the first time you saw a woman on stage, and like was there always like with the stand up and like comedy stuff that you liked? Like
Mhm.
did you ever find that to be like a barrier between you and like relating to the stuff coming out of like,
I think for sure.
really?
Um,
Because there's a lot of things about comedy that's like universal, I guess, like
Oh,
just
yeah.
slapstick stuff
yeah.
or whatever. But yeah, like
Yeah. I mean, I think when you're a girl, you just don't I mean, we're just not as represented in stand up. You're just
Yeah.
not. And obviously there's plenty of stand up comedians we can all relate to,
Yeah.
but they're not necessarily talking about things that like you want to talk about.
mhm.
Right. Me personally, I don't like potty humor and I don't like overly sexual jokes. That's just me. Everybody's different. Right.
Mhm.
But a lot of men have stuff, revolving around that. And I'm like, I can't
Definitely.
really
Yeah.
I'm not really on board with this. Right.
Yeah. All the oh, my wife, listen that, stuff like that.
Yeah, like,
You know
oh,
what
I hate my wife. I'm like, why are you with her? Like,
yeah,
God.
I know, it sounds miserable.
Yeah, like,
Yeah, that's interesting.
it's kind of a bummer to hear that kind of stuff, you know?
It is, yeah. What's your style then? Like, what kind of stuff do you do?
So I focus a lot of my work around mental health
Okay, nice.
and the issues I've had with addiction. That was where I started, was like, how can I take some of these things that I've been through, you know, these things that I experienced when I was younger and the mental health struggles that I've had,
Yeah.
and turn them into something funny. Like, it's the Jimmy Buffett thing, right? If we can't laugh, we'll go insane. If we couldn't laugh, we would all go insane. Yeah.
Right.
And that was where I started. Now I've ventured a little bit more into observational stuff.
Okay.
And then I do some political humor. My only rule with political humor is now my own personal politics, I'm very left leaning.
Right.
Right. My only rule is that my political agenda doesn't matter. When I do political humor, like, I try and pick things that we can all laugh at on both sides of the aisle.
Right.
Or that can be adapted to be both sides of the aisle. Obviously,
yeah.
if I'm in a more left-leaning room, I can be a little bit...
Exactly, yeah. Play to the room.
Yeah, I can,
when you need to.
Right. I can be a little bit more overt about my feelings about things.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the audience doesn't care about your feelings necessarily. They care about how they relate to what you're saying.
Right. They want to laugh.
They want to laugh. Yeah. And I think with the political theater that goes on in this country, there's plenty to laugh at. The script writes itself.
Literally. Yeah. No, it's easy.
Yeah.
On either way.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, especially in South Carolina, if you're playing at a certain place, if you like make a snap at someone, you know, on the right or conservative person, like, you'll lose them probably pretty fast.
Yeah. And I think even with that, I mean, my God, you can look at me and tell I'm not a Republican. I mean,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's not a secret. Like,
right.
Yeah, I've got, tattoos all up my arm and, just everything it's very overt in the way I present myself. If you're listening to this,
for your audio listeners,
you can't tell, but I promise it's very overt.
Right. Yeah.
And like, even then though, you can still get people on your side. Everybody can laugh at themselves at a certain point.
Right. Yeah.
And you can still like take jabs at things on both sides and get people to laugh.
That's really must be like rewarding when you can win them over. You know what I mean? Despite that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's nice. Is that like, do you face that as a problem like a lot in South Carolina, like playing around South Carolina?
I don't think it's as much of a hurdle as people think it is.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, truly. I really don't.
Unless like you're in freaking like Hollywood, South Carolina, or like Raven, like, you know, like those super rural, out of nowhere places.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get slapped or anything, but
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I haven't really had a problem with it here or in Columbia.
Right.
And again, I don't do anything that's incredibly what's the word I'm looking for, like inciting.
Divisive or
incredibly divisive or
sense.
incredibly inciting. Yeah.
Well, so did you start doing stand up in Columbia?
No, I started doing stand up here.
Okay, nice. What were some of the places that you started? What was the first place you got up at?
The Sparrow.
Nice.
Yeah.
June awesome.
June 3rd, 2019 was the very first night I ever did it.
Nice.
And
never forget.
Yeah. And I did the open mic at the Sparrow. I had just been, there was a mutual parting of the ways from my job. I got fired, but I was gonna quit. And there was just like, it was kind of this whole meeting where I was like, they were like, yeah, we're gonna let you go. And I was like, yeah, I was actively seeking out other employment. So this is great. But a lot of my job was like, my friends were at that job. Like, it took up a lot of my time and I kind of didn't know what to do with myself.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I can either get sad or I can get weird.
That's true. You either go one way or the other at some point in life.
So I cried for a week and then I was like, well, time to get weird. And I had wanted to do stand up and I'd wanted to try it. Like I said, ever since I saw that Jen Kirkman special in 2015. And I was like, well, now's the time, I guess. I ain't got nowhere to be.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose.
No one's going to fire me for my stand up now.
Yeah, there's no job.
Right. Exactly.
So I went and I did it, and I just was immediately addicted.
Hooked. Wow,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. And
Did you kill your first time, or like did you bomb, or like?
I wouldn't say I killed. I don't think, I mean, you do get people who kill their first time. I got plenty of laughs and probably way more laughs than I should have.
Yeah. Nice.
But it was enough to where Heath Richardson, who has since moved out to the West Coast, he was running the Sparrow at the time, and he came up to me and he was like, "Hey, you need to come back next week, and there's an open mic on Wednesday at the Tin Roof, and you need to come to that." And I was like, okay.
Hey, if someone's going to tell me to do it now,
Yeah,
I guess
like,
I got to.
I guess, yeah. And I just kind of took that as a sign that I was like, okay, let's keep going. And
Yeah.
I just kept going with it. And actually, the Wednesday of the open mic at the Tin Roof, I had orientation at my new job. I was going to be serving at California Dreaming, which I no
Nice.
longer do, but, you know, worked out. And during the orientation, they were like, does anybody have availability issues? I was like, yeah, Monday nights I do open mic at the Sparrow.
Nice.
And I had done it one time. I was like, what a ballsy move. I'm
Yeah.
like,
I do this now.
I do this now. I'm making a choice that this is my Monday night from now on.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
And so from there, like you were doing open mics, and then when were you able to quit that job?
I kept working that job. I mean, I've still got a day job, but I kept working that job for 2 years.
Nice.
I mean, honestly, when I started doing it, and once it became clear that like I was going to have gigs and this was going to be something I was going to put a lot of my focus into, the managers I had there, shout out to them, because I've never worked at a restaurant where I could call and be like, I got a last minute gig, and they're like, go, you're off.
Wow. Oh my
Yeah.
God. That's like unheard of in food and bev.
I mean,
I feel like you know
truly
what I mean?
unheard of. I had very, very supportive managers who made sure that I was going to succeed.
Jeez,
Yeah.
that's really lucky. I mean, I can't
Yeah,
even imagine.
Truly.
The restaurants I've worked at, like if I did that or something, you know what I mean? They'd be like, "You're done." Like, you know what I mean?
Like I'd show up with like my podcast stickers, and everybody would have them on their
That's awesome.
books. And like there's probably some still like some of the magnets that we had still floating
Yeah.
around the restaurant. Like, I mean,
That's awesome.
yeah, very, very supportive.
Jeez, it takes a village. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or, you know, a restaurant.
Exactly. Yeah. So when did you like? How long were you doing open mics before like you started booking gigs and stuff? Like,
Josh Bates booked me on my very first gig.
nice.
And I think that was in August or September of 2019. So it wasn't very long before I got my first book show.
Nice.
And after that, you know, one thing leads into another, and you just kind of start getting booked for more and more things.
Right.
Yeah. So, but about 3 months.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Like it just kind of took off from there and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. What was it like? Would you say that you kind of like had a knack for it, like off the bat, you know, or like how did you have to kind of like develop your stuff, or like?
I had an advantage off the bat from a few things. One, I grew up writing.
Okay.
I always loved writing, and I was kind of a weird kid, and we didn't have cable at our house. I wasn't allowed to watch a lot of television. I read a lot of books,
Okay. Nice.
and then to entertain myself, I had to write a lot.
yeah.
I also went to Rawlings Middle School of the Arts in Somerville.
Okay.
And if you're listening and you're from Charleston, you may or may not know what it is. But it, you know, between 6th and 8th grade, I was there for the creative writing program.
Okay.
I was the last class to be able to do that. And when you spend, you know, 3 and 4 hours a day of your formative years writing,
Yeah.
it's gonna stick with you, right?
Yeah.
Like
That's a valuable skill to I kind of work into yourself. You know what I mean?
right. And I had been going to theater camp during the summer and stuff, and I thought I was going to go to Rawlings for theater. And I remember being livid. I cried for days when I got in for creative writing.
Oh, man.
I was so mad because they made you audition for 2 things. So I did theater, and then I did creative writing as a throwaway.
Right. The backup plan.
The backup plan.
yeah.
And because I thought for sure I was a shoo-in for theater. No problem, right? And I got in for writing, and I was so angry. Now, as an adult, of course, I'm very thankful for that.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, so I had the theater experience, and I did some theater in high school, and when I was in college, did some acting. And if you ever saw a certain Blue Cross Blue Shield commercial, I am very concerned about Obamacare.
Oh, really?
Or at least I was when they cut me a check. Yeah.
Oh,
But-
nice. You were in a Blue Cross.
I was in a I was
Nice.
in a commercial.
That's big money. That's a
Big.
good. That's a
They
good
wrote me
gig.
enough to be very concerned.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
But yeah, so I had that advantage of having had theater experience and acting experience, and then the writing on top of it. It just kind of, you know, I had that. I don't think anybody is off the rip just like great at stand up.
Right. Yeah.
And when I started, people were like, "You're gonna suck for like a long time,"
Yeah.
and get comfortable with that now.
Right.
Which I had in my advantage. Again, the acting experience, you get a lot of no.
Yeah, it seems like having theater experience and writing experience like kind of culminates to the perfect combination.
Right,
for stand-up.
exactly. And then when I modeled when I was younger, you want to talk about hearing no and you're a piece of shit a lot.
Okay.
Modeling will absolutely do it for you.
Oh man,
So I was ready for the rejection of it all.
that's brutal.
Right.
As a kid, specifically.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, I was a teenager, but still, but it
Yeah.
prepares you, you know?
That's true. Yeah, it could be brutal, like going on stage, I guess, and like you get nothing.
Yeah, exactly. I think Josh on his episode talks about we say you eat a dick a lot in Charleston.
Right.
And
Yeah.
yes, we've all done it.
There are plenty of dicks have been eaten. For
Yes.
Sure. Well, so what's like your process like? Like, do you like writing out your jokes and stuff?
Yeah, so I start with writing every day,
Really?
and I sit down and I just brain dump.
Mm,
Where I start is by dumping all of my thoughts in my brain
yeah.
onto a page
Huh.
for 30 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
And when I say brain dump, I'm talking everything you can think about. It will literally vacillate between geopolitical conflict and I'm concerned that my skincare routine isn't working.
Wow.
And maybe I should get a new pair of shoes, not next week, but the week after that. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, really
Yeah, just a stream of consciousness.
stream of consciousness writing all over the place. If you were to read it, you would be like, this person needs to be medicated.
Yeah.
Right? Which I probably do need to be, but whatever. But yeah, so I start there, and then out of there, we can kind of pluck some funnier things. I also, throughout the day, if something funny happens, I'll write it down. Or if I think of a premise, I'll write it down. And then I work off of that. And then through that process, not only are you not thinking about geopolitical conflict while you're trying to write jokes, right?
Right, yeah.
Because it's out on a page, but you're finding the humor in things, and you funnel it through, you figure out what works.
Right.
Right. So I'll write out my jokes long form.
Hmm.
I'll do the long form at an open mic. Okay.
Hmm.
And then from there, I'll figure out what works and what doesn't. So all of a sudden, a 10-minute joke becomes a 5-minute, becomes a 3-minute, becomes a 2-minute.
Yeah. You whittle it down to like the core of it or whatever.
Exactly. You whittle it down to what is funny and what is punchy and what people resonate with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice. I was like, so at the end of it, like, are your jokes like, is it like very word for word, like what you have, or do you kind of just like work off the ideas that you had, like, and keep it in your mind, or like?
It depends what it is. There's several jokes that I have where the wordplay is very important.
Mm-hmm.
And in that case, you have to do it word for word.
Okay.
I have an opener where I talk about looking like the Jolly Green Giant or Big Bird if I wear certain colors.
Nice.
I just realized today I talk about not ever wearing yellow because it makes me look like Big Bird. I'm wearing yellow today, but whatever.
Total lib.
Yeah, exactly. So that joke, for instance, does not work if you don't get the words right.
Mm.
It just completely bombs because the idea is that, you're suddenly making people realize like, oh, she doesn't wear yellow because she looks like Big Bird.
Right.
And there are other jokes I have that are just ideas, right?
Yeah.
And
you can kind of riff on it.
you can riff on it. The wording doesn't really
Nice.
matter as much. Yeah.
Those are nice. Do you find like and a specific one like works better, or like you get more laughs out of one method, or it's just kind of like how it all works?
I think it just depends on the joke. Yeah.
Nice.
Any joke is going to work best if you're having fun.
Yeah.
So that's more the key.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I saw on your Instagram that you do Sopranos outfit ratings
Yes.
and stuff.
Oh my God. You saw those?
I did. Yeah. I love The Sopranos so much.
Oh my God. Yes. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Well, so when did you start doing that?
Okay. So I didn't see The Sopranos until I was 31 years old. So I started watching it last year with my roommates, and we would call it family Sopranos night. Everybody had to be together in the house.
Nice.
And we would watch several episodes together. I had never seen the show, and I only knew about the last scene because everybody knows about the last scene, right?
Okay, yeah.
But I didn't have anything to go off of. So imagine you don't know anything about The Sopranos and this is the first time you're seeing it.
Yeah.
My brain chemistry changed.
Yeah. No, for real. Same for me, because the first time I watched it was last year. And I kind of like, always, saw the references throughout just like, culture or whatever, people saying like, oh, and like, Tony Soprano stuff. Hey, yeah.
Gabagool.
Gabagool, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess like Italian mob stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, last year it was like my little brother, he watched it and he was like, you guys got to watch the show and stuff.
Right.
And yeah, like I started watching it and now I'm like, oh, like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like I get it now.
Yeah, exactly. You get it. And I started doing those just as a joke, as a combination between like my own love of fashion and then my love of The Sopranos.
Yeah.
And even when we were watching it during like our little roommate nights where we would watch The Sopranos, I'd be like, love that outfit, hate that, like, and it just became this kind of running joke. My friends will joke that like I dress like Carmela Soprano, and like not today, but like
this might be a Janice outfit.
This may be more of a Jan outfit, maybe even Meadow, but like after she like graduates, in
her college phase.
Yeah, in her Meadow in her college years when she's interning. Yeah,
right.
And it came out of that, and constantly wanting to wear like big jewelry. I collect vintage jewelry.
Oh, nice.
I collect vintage clothes too.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm somebody who I don't care. I will go to the Harris Teeter in sequins and like a little leopard coat or whatever. Like, I just don't care.
Interesting. Nice.
And so
that's cool. It's like with The Sopranos, like I feel like, especially like the guys in Sopranos, you know what I mean? Like their fashion, like that style is kind of like back in fashion now in like a cool way. It
totally is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole Goodwill-esque thing.
Yeah. It's like, it's this whole like, I don't know, mob dad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. And I started doing those like a few weeks. I don't even know when I did the first one. I did it for fun because it was in my brain and I had to get it out.
Yeah.
And I think the first one I did was Carmela. And then a bunch of my friends blew me up and they were like, you have to like keep doing this. Yeah.
There's a lot to go like dig into there.
Yeah, for sure.
Who's your favorite like character in Sopranos in terms of like their style, clothes wise?
In terms of style?
Yeah.
Adriana.
Nice. Yeah.
Adriana Lacerva. I mean, listen, she's my favorite in general. Like, she's
the best.
She is the best. I want to not like her, but
yeah, I could see. Yeah.
But I just love her.
It's tough.
It is tough. I'm a conflicted woman.
Yeah, it's her style is very like loud and like she's curly hair, cheetah print stuff and whatnot.
She's what you came there for. Like there's zero subtlety.
Yeah.
There's no subtlety in what Adriana wears. And that's like when I watch a show, I want the fantasy, right?
Right, yeah.
It's the same thing with like Sex and the City. Like we want the fantasy.
Yeah.
And Adriana Lacerva is the fantasy.
Yeah, she's the caricature of New Jersey.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love her.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I love The Sopranos. I don't know. I turned on a few episodes last night and just like binged a bunch from season 2 and stuff. But something about that show, just like I could just keep watching it
over and over again and keep catching things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
If I had seen that show when I was 19 years old, it would have been a personality trait.
Right. Yeah. I wish I did.
I mean, I'm glad I didn't see it till I was in my 30s because
that's true. That's kind of heavy
Well,
some things. And,
no, I just would have made it my whole personality. I wouldn't be talking to you. I would be living in New Jersey and
exactly.
helping my husband try to get away from the feds.
Right. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. What I haven't really, I guess, paid too much attention to this. I think sometimes I notice it in Carmela, but like, how do you notice like that the writers or like the wardrobe people kind of like, throw in like metaphors or allusions and stuff like with the outfits and like colors and stuff? Do you ever notice anything like that? Or like,
I could go on and on about this.
I feel like I've noticed it in like Carmela sometimes, like, cause she'll be in like purple outfit, purple eyeshadow and stuff, or like green or something.
There's a lot we see in Carmela as it goes on. There's a hardening and a softening of Carmela that happens that I think is really interesting in her wardrobe. They actually will purposefully sometimes use the wrong colors on her to like show that she's kind of disconnected from herself.
That's
when
she's so at odds with her beliefs and what she's doing.
Yes. There is a tracksuit, and I think I talk about it in my video about Carmela. There's a pink tracksuit that she wears when she and Tony are in the process of getting a divorce. What's interesting about that tracksuit is, one, she doesn't typically wear like super sporty stuff. Even when she's normally at the club playing tennis and, we're hanging out with her girlfriends or whatever, we see her in things that are a little bit more feminine. So we have this feminine color, this baby pink that she's wearing, and it's the wrong pink for her skin tone. And it is like this desperation to cling on to this like hyper femininity that she knows, but she's in this more masculine cut tracksuit. It doesn't fit her right. It's the wrong color.
Yeah.
It's almost there, but not quite. And this is when Carmela is feeling really disconnected with herself in the process of getting divorced from Tony.
Yeah. That's interesting.
I know I went way too deep into that.
No, not at all. Oh my God. I mean, that's interesting because like I guess in terms of like the hardening and softening, like she starts out kind of just like being cognitively dissonant about like what she's doing. You know what I mean? Like she's like, oh, marriage is an institution and whatnot. And like, this is important because of that. But then she like kind of, I guess, realizes that like, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of a bad thing or what, you know what I mean?
Yeah. She's trapped.
Right.
Yeah. She's trapped by her own belief system and by Tony and, and a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
But then you have that ultimate softening when she gets the fur coat, and she's wrapped in this softness.
Right.
And it's the right color for her. And her hair is very softly done and her makeup is very soft.
Huh. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So just as an example of the hardening and softening of Carmela.
Yeah. No, she's actually like, I feel like one of the more like developed characters over the show.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Towards the end when like they were going through the whole divorce thing, like and her with Furio is like, I was like, oh my God, she's being so annoying right now.
You thought she was being annoying? Oh my God. I want it. Like, listen, I love Furio. He's like my favorite male character.
Oh yeah, definitely.
She's
got good taste.
She does. She does. I desperately wanted them to work. And then he left. I was like, no, I was yelling at the TV. I was like, where is he? Where's
Furio? As a viewer, you really wanted that to happen.
Yeah. I was like, I wanted this to happen. And like, why is he gone? And I looked at my roommates. I was like, he's not really gone, is he? They were like, he's gone. Like,
don't say it's true.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, and like the scene where like he almost pushes Tony into like the propeller and stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that to come.
Yeah.
From him. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other characters that are interesting and like what they wear. I guess Tony and the guys, it's like a lot more just plain the stuff from that era or something. I don't know.
It's not really plain. Their clothing sort of represents their roles within the organization. Like you notice the lower guys are usually wearing tracksuits and then the other guys are coming to work in like the collared shirts and like
that's true, yeah.
The button down. And Tony, he has no dress code basically. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
But his guys, if the further up you are, the more you're dressed up, the lower you are.
Yeah, Silvio's always dressed up.
Silvio's done up.
Yeah.
Done up. And then Paulie with his wings.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And his like chain. And
his chain. Hey.
The fact that Silvio is played by Stevie Van Zandt from like Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band to me is just like
mind-blowing
and hilarious.
Yeah.
To me. Like it just makes me laugh.
It makes me laugh too to think about it.
Yeah.
And his wife in that show is his wife in real life.
Right. Yeah.
Which is, it's just like, Oh man.
It's too good. And he's like the goofiest to me in a sense, like
Mhm.
Silvio, but in a way that's totally endearing and like I love doing Silvio impressions. Right.
Yeah. He's so good. He's so good.
Yeah. What characters haven't you done yet?
I think so far I've only done Polly and Carmela and Adriana. I definitely want to get
Nice.
into Meadow a little bit more.
Okay.
And I need to branch out. If you have any requests for who you want me to cover, please let me know. I'm happy to cover whoever.
Junior.
Junior. Yeah, let's cover Junior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were your observations with Polly Walnuts?
He actually looked best in like his tracksuit. He's best when he's more relaxed. But in the one episode where he's really done up for the poker game with Frank Sinatra Jr.
Yeah.
Zaddy moment.
For real.
He looked like a Zaddy. I was like, I have never found this person attractive in this show. And like, I got it for like the 2 minutes of that.
Yeah.
You know,
you got a little whiff of that.
I was like, oh, okay, Polly.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's got a little game.
Yeah. Like, all right, I see this.
Yeah. Was that like a tan suit or something? It was like,
I think it's like gray, but it's like the way he's got it styled. It's like a little unbuttoned and with the chain still. So it still looks very Polly.
I watched that episode last night.
Did you?
Yeah. And the guy who is like, borrowing money, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The degenerate gambler dad.
Yeah.
He annoys me so much.
Oh, I know. I hate him.
What an insufferable character.
He really is.
Yeah. I love that show.
It's a great show. Thank you for letting me talk about how much I love it.
No, I mean, same. What other shows do you like?
What's so funny is I don't watch a ton of TV, but the stuff that I do watch, is now mostly comedic. I talked earlier about like how it was all horror for a long time.
Right.
I keep up with Saturday Night Live.
Mm-hmm.
I am obsessed with You.
Oh, nice.
On Netflix. Yeah. Yes.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's a great show. Sex in the City, I've seen it a zillion times.
Okay.
And Family Guy is one that I watch a lot of and still watch a lot of.
Nice.
And It's Always Sunny.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah. I've heard a lot of good things about It's Always Sunny. Everybody's always like, you got to watch it. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's so good. You do have to watch it.
Yeah. I think I've like tried to watch one episode before. It hasn't like clicked yet, like where I just like get really into it. Like, I need to, it'll come around at some point.
Yeah, it takes a few episodes. And you have to remember that all of the characters are specifically written to be hated.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so keep that in mind. You're not going to like any of them.
So
you're not supposed to. Don't try and get on board. It's like Portlandia is one I forgot to mention too.
Yeah.
And that's one that took me a few episodes. I watched the first 2 and I was like, what is this? It's like, wait, what? And then I finally once it made sense all the way.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And that's another favorite of mine for sure.
Yeah, that's a show where I was like, you're speaking my language here, like
Portlandia. Yeah.
Cacao.
The cacao. Yes.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's interesting. Family Guy is interesting to me. Like, it's been around for so long. And stuff. And like, I remember as a kid, like my older brother like would watch it with his friends and like it was like so cool to like watch Family Guy. You know what I mean? Even though it's like so heavy on like the cultural references.
Yes.
That like as a kid, I didn't understand any of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was like, oh yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I started watching Family Guy. This is a true like jokes on me moment. Okay. I started watching Family Guy when I was in high school.
Nice.
To impress like this boy that I liked. Right.
Classic.
And then I started watching it. I would watch it on Adult Swim. It used to come on at 11 o'clock on Adult Swim on Cartoon Network. I'm aging myself with that reference. But
dang. I'm thinking like, I remember those days.
Yeah.
Back in the day. And I would watch it at 11 o'clock every night. And there were 2 episodes that'd be back-to-back reruns. And then I would fall asleep to it. And then when I got to college, my roommate, funny enough, did the exact same thing. Nice.
And at this point, like, I have actually started enjoying the show, right? I've been watching it. So, and now I'm 32 and I still watch it
Mhm.
and I still like it.
Yeah.
And I started watching it on accident.
Yeah, that's funny.
I started watching it to impress somebody else. And then I was like, oh, well,
I'll keep this as part of my personality.
yeah, this is my personality
By
now.
choice.
Yeah.
What do you like about Family Guy? Like,
I love the cultural references. I
Yeah.
think they're so smart. And it's the same reason I like Portlandia.
mm,
They're very smart, witty cultural references.
yeah.
Anything that's a super deep cut into culture like they do on Family Guy
Right, yeah.
is hilarious to me. Brian is absolutely my favorite character. Just such an
Yeah.
like just such an insufferable
Person,
douchebag.
yeah.
Yeah.
The ambitious but like really failing writer author,
Yes.
like
Yeah, the writer who's like actually not writing anything.
that
Yeah.
archetype is awful.
Yeah. But it works in the context of Family Guy and in that dynamic,
Yeah.
you know. I love that they fleshed out Chris and Meg a little bit more as being more well-rounded people.
More three-dimensional.
Yes, they're very like three-dimensional people. And we're not just like shitting on them anymore.
Nice.
And then Stewie is just
A cultural zeitgeist himself
an icon.
in his own way.
An
yeah.
icon, Stewie
Literally.
Griffin. Yeah.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
How do you feel about South Park?
I don't like South Park.
Okay, I'm glad you feel that way because I feel the same way.
Yeah.
To me, South Park is like the Mountain Dew of like television.
Oh
or
my
something.
God.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It doesn't that just like, yeah.
I mean, I like Mountain Dew, but but yes, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't.
It's too much.
I don't know what about it doesn't resonate with me, but I feel the same way about American Dad, which is
Mhm.
another, Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah.
American Dad doesn't resonate with me. South Park, Futurama has never hit with me, which is just
yeah.
weird considering how
Same.
much I like Family Guy.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
I like, because to me, South Park is like so, it's just like really fast and like really just like lame, or like not lame, but like, how do I say it? Like there are like smart jokes and stuff in South Park, but I feel like a lot of the humor in South Park is very like low hanging fruit type stuff or like surface level things.
yeah, it can be a
don't know.
little sophomoric. Not that, I mean,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
and that doesn't mean South Park's not funny. That doesn't mean people shouldn't watch it. But
Sure,
it's
yeah.
just, everybody's different in what they
Mhm.
like.
Yeah. It's like, I feel like if I watch that for too long, I'd just be like, get a headache or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, and Family Guy is the same way. Like it is really like fast paced, like
Mhm.
punchline, cutaway, things like that.
Chicken punches, etc.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I think the best thing about Family Guy is like the characters,
Yeah.
you know? Like
Yeah.
you said, like Brian, like he's so hateable, but like kind of relatable.
Like we kind of like him.
Yeah,
Yeah. We kind of
exactly.
love him. Yeah.
Like I feel like we all maybe see a little bit of ourselves in Brian.
Oh, I
Like-
definitely do. Are
Really?
you kidding me?
Nice.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. I don't know. I need to get back into Family Guy. I haven't watched any in a long ass time.
Yeah. Definitely watch it again.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Have you ever thought about like writing a TV show? Do you have any?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Absolutely. I would love to at some point. And I started doing some work with the Grilled Cheese Show
Oh, nice,
a couple months ago.
Cameron.
And yeah.
Other Cameron.
Yeah. Other Cameron. And, writing some sketches for them.
Mm.
And I wrote, I started working on a treatment for like a sitcom a little while ago, about 2 years ago,
Nice.
during quarantine, and then abandoned it and need to come back to it.
Mhm.
But I would love to write for television. I think that would be great. And I think sketch comedy is hilarious. Like I said, I mean, I'm,
Saturday Night Live.
devotee of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
I mean, I came home from my senior prom and like watched Saturday Night Live.
Nice.
So yeah,
Good night, guys.
good night, guys. Bye. I got to go watch Saturday Night Live. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I would love to do something like that.
Interesting. Yeah. What? So with Grilled Cheese, like you're helping them write some sketches and stuff.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
what it is? Interesting. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I haven't been over there actually in a sec, like on Monday night or whatever.
Mhm.
I need to hook back up with those guys. But
Yeah.
What kind of stuff are you doing with them? Like, what are the sketches like, or like, what do you?
We've been doing like writers. I just like lost my voice for a second. Sorry.
Okay.
but we've been doing stuff like based around the writer's room and the dynamics in the writer's room. We released one at Christmas about like gift giving and the idea being that we've done a Secret Santa and Cam has only put his name into the Secret Santa hat. And we've all gotten gifts for Cam. And in the sketch, everybody's kind of like, wait, what? Like, why are you the only one who's getting gifts? And I explode on him and I tell him, you know, I punched somebody at the flea market to get this gift. And nice. Like, I don't want to go back to anger management. And so we did that. We reintroduced Bigfoot back into like the cinematic universe of grilled cheese, where Bigfoot is a DoorDash driver.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we're doing a few different things with that.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, they do really good stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
What's like one of your favorite places to or like your favorite houses for comedy here in Charleston? Like
the Sparrow has to be like, that's our go-to spot.
Yeah.
If you want to see comedy in Charleston, you go to the Sparrow.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got our big garage door with everybody who's like signed signed our big wall.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's the place. We've got 2 open mics there a week now. So Mondays and Wednesdays. And obviously it's the room I started in.
Right. Yeah.
So
a little special.
Yeah, we've got that. They've got stuff on Fridays and Saturdays usually. I mean, you're talking about a ton of a de facto comedy club, but not,
right.
It's not even really a comedy club, right? But they've had some big names come through there. I mean, we've got Lace Larrabee, who was on America's Got Talent. We had Catherine Blanford. She came. They actually came together and did a show. Just lots of, I'm opening for Davi Crimmins there. Just a lot of awesome people come through there, big names.
How have you seen like that kind of like the Sparrow kind of like progress like since it started doing its open mics, or like at least from the time that you've been there? Like, because I feel like I've been there to one open mic like a long time ago. And then like I went to a few. We used to go to them more often, like more like last year and stuff. I kind of fallen off like going and watching and stuff, but like it seemed like there had been so much, like it had just gotten so much better or something. Like I don't know, like
it's just gotten bigger. I think, you know, obviously Josh and Cammie have done so much work to really take the Sparrow to the next level with comedy. And I think we're just kind of talking to people about it more. It's not comedy in Charleston when I started even 4 years ago was a little bit more underground, and now it's just not. And
right.
I'm definitely not shy about saying, come out to an open mic, come try it. Like, just give it a shot. I think that makes a difference. And we've got a lot of good people in the scene who are working, you know, very hard to make things happen.
That's true. Yeah. And like the whole partnership with Music Farm and stuff, like all that stuff's really cool.
Yeah.
What do you like about like the Charleston comedy scene, or like what do you dislike about it? Like likes and dislikes about doing comedy in Charleston?
I really like that we have good, strong relationships here. Everybody is pretty supportive of one another. We also don't take a lot of shit. So like if you come to an open mic and you start with like anything racist, transphobic, homophobic, like ain't nobody got time for that. Like,
exactly,
So we're not the scene to do that in. And I don't know. I think the only thing I would dislike is we're just kind of small. Come out and do some comedy with us. Come hang out with us. Like, let's get bigger.
Nice. Yeah, that's great. Well, so you said that you're working on a special right now, or like you're about to
Well, I'll be opening for Davi Crimmins on April 28th at the Sparrow. I think what you're thinking of is the work I'm doing with the Bad Girls Club at Dance Lab, Charleston.
Gotcha.
And for that's going to be a big dance performance. And I'll be dancing. Yay.
Nice.
And me with a lot of other people.
That's cool.
Yeah, definitely not just me. And that will be April 16th at the Charleston Music Hall. And it's going to be live music by Mike Quinn and friends. And they're going to be doing all the music for it. Lots of classic rock stuff. And then the Bad Girls Club is going to be dancing. It's going to be great.
Okay. Interesting. So they're going to be playing classic rock and just like with people dancing around. Like, that's interesting.
It's a dance performance, like a choreographed like dance performance. Yeah.
Interesting. What
Yeah.
kind of music? Like, what kind of songs? Like,
I don't know if I'm allowed to say the songs, but
Okay.
you'll know all the songs. I'll put it that way. It's like
Gotcha.
classic rock, and you know the
Interesting.
songs. Yeah.
huh? What's kind of like the conceit behind it? Like, what was the thought process of like combining classic rock songs with choreographed dance?
Honestly, that is the brainchild of Jenny Broquin, who owns Dance Lab.
Okay.
Yeah. So I am merely a pawn. I am merely a dancer in all of this.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's bigger than you. Bigger than
It's
me.
far bigger than me. Yeah. But I think, I can't speak for her, but it's going to be a great time.
Yeah.
It's great tunes.
That sounds fun. That sounds interesting. Like, I'm intrigued.
Yeah. And I think they've got everything from like, there's some tap. I'm into like contemporary pieces, and
Mhm.
there's going to be a bunch of cool stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, that happens.
Do you want to like do a special by yourself at some point? Is that something that you're
I would like to at some point.
Mhm.
I don't know when. Like, I don't have any plans to do one by myself right now.
right?
But eventually, I would like to get to that point. I would say probably within the next 2 years. I don't
Okay,
think
nice.
I don't think I'm ready just yet.
Okay.
Yeah,
How long have you been doing comedy? Like,
about 4 years.
okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, and it takes a while to get to the point where you feel ready to do a special, and
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, because like once you do that, it kind of like is there forever. And stuff,
Right.
you know what I
It's
mean?
there forever. And I
Mhm.
want to make sure that I would be putting my best foot forward. And there's a lot that goes into that. And,
Mhm.
a lot of pitches you have to make. And quite frankly, like, I don't know that I got time for that right now.
Yeah, for real. That's a big thing. I feel like there's a lot more people just like putting it out on YouTube, and it's kind of working out for them.
Yeah.
And stuff. I think Josh do that. Isn't he planning on doing that?
Josh is planning on doing a special. He's not putting on, I mean, it might
He's
be
not
on
doing-
YouTube
okay,
on
gotcha.
eventually, but
I've heard
sure.
that that Stavros Helkios guy.
mm-mm.
He's like a dude that's been going viral on TikTok
Okay.
a lot. Like kind of a fat dude with glasses and whatnot.
Okay.
Yeah, you might recognize him if you saw him. But yeah, he like made a special. The story with him is like he made a special and was trying to like shop it around and stuff.
hmm
And like the only offer he was getting, or like the only interest he got, was like from Tubi or something like bizarre, obscure like that.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm just gonna put it on YouTube myself
Uh-huh.
and promote it all myself, not like have to rely on them for promoting it and stuff.
Yeah.
And it ended up like blowing up. It's got like 1 million plus views or something like that.
Dude, good for him.
I know.
That's
Isn't that
awesome.
crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now he's all over the place doing podcasts everywhere.
Yeah,
So-
that's fantastic. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know that I would have the balls to just put something out
Really?
like that myself. Yeah, I would probably want a little more backup. That takes guts.
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah, I think too, it was like he financed it all himself, like rented out the theater,
Yeah,
air space for it, and then
yeah.
which is I couldn't imagine doing that.
That takes some serious guts,
Yeah, and time management skills. Like
dude. Props to him.
I wouldn't be able to. I'd be too worried about everything else to like go on stage and be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
That seems like too much.
yeah.
Well, that's interesting. So what else is like coming up in the future that you're excited about besides those 2 dates?
Honestly, that's really what I'm looking forward to the most right now.
Nice.
Also, I'm just, doing some open mics. Hopefully, after the summer, I'll be maybe doing some more festivals.
Okay, nice.
Last year, I did the North Carolina Comedy Festival, which is going to be in September again this year. And hopefully, I get accepted into that and I'm able to do that.
Nice.
I'd definitely like to be traveling more.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Do you like doing those festivals or like?
Yeah, festivals are awesome.
Really?
Yeah. And it's just such a great opportunity to meet so many people and make so many good connections and so many friends. Like
Yeah,
there's so
really?
many friends.
Is it like a comedy specific festival?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so imagine if you take now each festival is different, right? In terms of the size, but if you get for instance, something like North Carolina, you have 200 comedians
Yeah.
in one place for 10 days. You might not be there the whole 10 days. I think I only went for 3 or 4 last year,
Mm-hmm.
but you are just meeting with people from all over the country
Mm-hmm.
who all love the same thing you love. It's like comedy boot camp.
Right.
You are talking about comedy or doing comedy or meeting with other comedians for 10 or 12 hours a day.
Yeah. People who are also like as passionate and determined. as you
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And that's just such a good environment to be in, to feel reignited in your art and your creativity.
Yeah. No, definitely. That stuff like that definitely gets me jazzed up. You know what I mean? When I'm around like-minded people like that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Well, that's really awesome. I mean, that's exciting stuff. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think we did good.
Yeah.
Dug into a lot of Soprano stuff and
yeah, thank you
came to some good conclusions.
Thank you for listening. If you made it through me talking about Carmela Soprano, thank you.
Yeah. Where can people like follow you? What's your Instagram at?
You can follow me on Instagram at Laura M. Dixon, LAURA M, like Mary, DIXON, DIXON, because nobody ever spells it right.
Nice.
Yeah, but that's the easiest way to find me. I am on TikTok and I don't really post on TikTok. Sorry.
It's tough. It's
Yeah. But Instagram is always the best way to find me. And you can look up some of my longer sets on YouTube.
Okay.
It's just Laura Dixon Comedy. You can find me there too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead and follow Laura Dixon on Instagram and check out her comedy on YouTube. And we'll be back with you next week with another Apple Juice Video exclusive.
Make sure you listen.
Yeah. Peace and love.
Bye.
2. Apple Juice Stepan.2. Juice Stepan.2. Juice Stepan.2. Apple Juice.